In the 4th century BC, an Egyptian priest commissioned an object that I consider to be one of the most special from all of ancient Egypt. This stone, known as the Metternich Stela, is part religious art, part literature, part ancient healing handbook, and not just healing for humans either. In fact, one of the longest inscriptions on the stone is a remarkable spell for healing a house cat. Standing about 3 feet tall, the Metternich Stela is carved from a type of hard, dark stone the Egyptians used when they really wanted an object to last, which pretty much worked out. It's been almost perfectly preserved after 2,400 years, and you can go see it today at the Metropolitan Museum in New York. If you do, I recommend spending a minute with it. There's a lot to take in, even besides the central image of the child god Horus, triumphing over dangerous creatures. The object also contains strange, tiny little scenes and hieroglyphs covering every available surface. The Metternich Stela includes several mythological narratives and a number of healing spells for humans and felines alike. There's really nothing else quite like it that has survived from ancient Egypt. The central image of the child Horus, victorious over the dangerous creatures of the Egyptian environment, snakes, scorpions, crocodiles, was a motif that became enormously popular in the final centuries of pharaonic civilization. Objects featuring this image are called cippi of Horus, and they came in a range of sizes. The Met Museum has one that measures under 2 inches, small enough to be worn as an amulet around the neck. The Egyptians believed these stones carried real power. The most common theory about how they were used is that water was poured over them and then consumed, absorbing the spells carved into the surface, becoming a kind of holy water. That's certainly how some of the larger healing statues worked. One of the most famous ones, the statue of Djedhor the Savior, even has a stone basin carved at the feet to catch the runoff. But when one Egyptologist looked closely at the wear patterns on the smaller Horus statues, she noticed something that didn't quite fit. There are no clear signs of water erosion. Instead, the erosion is concentrated on certain parts, especially the face of Horus. On many of the surviving examples, Horus's face has been rubbed almost completely smooth. There are also no explicit instructions to pour water over the objects. The statues weren't being doused in water, they were being touched, which makes the Metternich Stela all the more interesting, because its carvings aren't worn down at all. Its relief is crisp. In all likelihood, this object sat somewhere safe, consulted only on the occasions where it was merited. One of those occasions, it turns out, may have been an unfortunate encounter between a cat and a scorpion. The stela contains not 1, but 3 different spells for healing an ailing cat. I'm pretty sure that settles the question of how the Egyptians felt about felines. The longest of the 3 spells runs more than 600 words. This was not some perfunctory prayer. It begins by calling on the sun god Ra, patron of felines. O sun, come for your daughter, for a scorpion has bitten her, and her cry reaches above. Then, speaking in the voice of the sun god himself, the spell addresses the cat directly. Don't fear, my daughter. Here I am around you. I am the one who fells for you the poison. But that's just the opening. The main body of the spell uses a technique that was a hallmark of Egyptian ritual, called the deification of the limbs. The spell systematically moves through the cat's body, part by part, and identifies each part with a deity. You cat, your head is the head of Ra. You cat, your nose is the nose of Thoth. You cat, your heart is the heart of Ptah. Your belly is the belly of Osiris. Your feet are the feet of Amun. Get the idea? The actual spell is far more descriptive than that, though. To the Egyptians, words carried power, and when it came to enchantment, brevity was rarely the goal. And so it goes on like that, head to toe, until every limb of the cat has been identified with a deity. Then finally, the spellcaster declares, "There is no limb in you free of a god." They were not merely treating a cat, they were reassembling one out of the pantheon. Of all of the Egyptian texts that I've read, I consider this one of the most moving. There's just a tenderness and a seriousness to it. You can't rule out the possibility that somebody at some point knelt down next to a sick cat and recited this very spell. But this was a futile gesture, right? It's all just superstition, and today we know better. That depends how you look at it. Whatever you believe about the metaphysics, the owner of this cat would have felt that by reciting this spell, they were doing everything they possibly could for the creature, given the treatment options available at the time. I'm sure many pet owners today can relate to that. I certainly can. And imagine what a powerful experience it would have been to actually speak those words, to feel like you were connecting heaven to earth on behalf of a helpless animal that you loved, and finally to address her with the extraordinary declaration, "There is no limb in you free of a god." Thanks for watching the very first episode of Aegyptica. For full bibliography and references, please visit Aegyptica.com. If you have an idea for a future episode, let me know in the comments. And see you next time for another journey into the art, literature, and philosophy of ancient Egypt.